Now, after the foundation comes the floor. Now, what is the floor? Now, the floor of humble and genuine service attitude. Now, that's the floor. The result of hearing and chanting is the desire to serve. Because as Prabhupada explains the meaning of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, what is the meaning of Hare Krishna Mahamantra? It's begging for engagement in service. Oh, all attractive Krishna, oh, energy of the Lord Hara, please engage me in your service. To love means to serve with a desire to please. So, uh, if you are really hearing and chanting nicely, he said, naturally the byproduct of that is now you're eager to serve. And interestingly, floor is one part of the house in which you are in touch with 24 hours a day as long as you're in the house. You are never in touch with the foundation. You may not be in touch with the wall or the roof, obviously, but you are in touch with the floor as long as you're in the house. Similarly, 24 hours. Similarly, Jiver Swarup Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. Gopi Bhartur Padkamle or Das Dasano Das. Bhritya Bhritya Paricharak Bhritya Bhritya. So we see that. And I would like to quote some very interesting quotes of Maharaj, where he has emphasized what should be the mood. More than the service, it is the service attitude. So I'll share with you some quotes. The more you make advancement in Krishna consciousness, the more you need to strengthen your service attitude in order to bear the weight. You know, that means the higher the tree, the bigger the tree, because tree gives shelter. The bigger the tree, as Sachinandan Maharaj says, the bigger the tree, the deeper and broader should be the roots. Otherwise, the people who are taking shelter under the tree, if the tree collapses, those people who are undertaking shelter, it's going to be they'll lose the shelter. So he said, the more you make advancement in Krishna consciousness, the more you need to strengthen your service attitude in order to bear the weight. Another time he said, if we can best serve in a palace, then it is Maya to live under a tree. And if we can best serve under a tree, then it is Maya to live in a palace. The difference between Maya and Krishna consciousness is simply how can I serve best? Whichever situation is best to serve, you know, it is irrespective of what type of service. What is the best way? What is pleasing to Vaishnavas? What is pleasing to Krishna? What is pleasing to the Guru? Another time he said, it is the service that purifies us, not the taste we feel. We are not concerned about our tastes, but Krishna's taste. That higher taste is the spirit of selfless service. You know, it's not about it's not about who does the service. It's about getting the service done. And if someone else can do that service better, let that person do it. If I can do it, even though I may not like it, but I do it nevertheless. So that's a very important principle. Um, and one thing he always emphasizes, service should be seen as a privilege and not as a burden. You know, I remember in one particular class, he was speaking about peeling potatoes. 20 minutes he must have spoken. At least I felt it was a long explanation. And he was telling, do you understand? You are peeling a potato for Krishna. After wandering in the 84 lakh species, Brahmanda Brahmite, today you have got an opportunity to peel a potato for Krishna. So the point he was making was, if you are serving Krishna, it's not about what kind of service, but the Lord and the parampara. He said, across the street in the hotel, somebody may be peeling potato. In fact, in Hindi, it's a very derogatory term. I क्या आलू छिलने बैठाया कि मेरे को? आलू छिलना means the lowest menial. If you can't do anything, आलू छिलते बैठ. But he specifically made that. He said, that's such an important thing. It's a privilege. And I remember first time when he, in 93, I think, yeah, 93, instead of one temple president, he made a temple presidential board. And there were 6 of us. The Devamrit, our Rasamrit Maharaj was also at that time, and Krishnanand Prabhu was also there. And later they, of course, left and went to other temples. So 6 of us were there. And that time he called at least me, I don't remember who else was there. And he told me, so do you know what temple president means? And I said, no, Maharaj, you tell me. He said, now you are a servant of the whole temple. Earlier, as a department head, you may have been a servant of the people in the department. Temple president means you are a servant of the whole temple. And sure enough, after that, my whole consciousness changed. If there is a glass lying somewhere, earlier I had a tendency to complain. Look, management nahi hai. Now I couldn't because I'm a part of that. So my whole perspective changed to looking at things. So I remember in Vrindavan, Kartik Yatra, one time our devotees were asked to serve. Prabhupada's disappearance day also came during that time, Kartik. So, like thousands of devotees were coming. So all of them had to be served, and our temple was given the service of serving all Prabhupada disciples and all other people who would come to Krishna Balram temple. So at that time, Maharaj gave a 20-minute talk on how serving prasad is such a privilege that Lord Chaitanya, during Haridas Thakur's passing away, personally was serving, and he was serving and offering, like as if 5 people can eat. Like that, he was serving with his 2 hands. Eventually, nobody was eating. Then Sarup Damodar Goswami said, my dear Lord, unless you sit and start, nobody. And who were serving? He said, Sarup Damodar Goswami. And who's Sarup? Lalita Sakhi. And who else? Govinda, Kashishwar, who are like gopis from Vrindavan. These are the people who are personally, the Damodar Pandit. Personally, these great exalted souls took the seva of serving prasadam. Do you understand what this privilege is? Lord Chaitanya was so enthusiastic to serve, to broom the Gundicha temple, like that. And immediately I could see after that thing, I think somebody announced, the managers around announced, so please, whoever wants to do seva of serving, give your names. Literally hundreds of devotees were standing, to give their names. Just that little bit of perspective completely changed the attitude of the devotees. Another time in Belgaum, no, not Belgaum, sorry, in Kartik Yatra only, we had called Matajis from Belgaum, simple Matajis. We had paid for the to and fro to make chapatis and cutting sabjis. Because imagine 5,000 people, so even if they say 2 chapatis, 10,000 chapatis, and if you had to be made for evening also, whatever, once in a day is made. So we needed a lot of people. So I think about 50 to 70 Matajis were there, whose only seva was rolling chapatis throughout the Kartik Yatra and cutting vegetables for the rest of the day. So the managers felt that we have to give some remuneration to them, because after all, though we had paid to and fro, but they hardly got anything of the yatra. They were serving only. They were, of course, hearing in the speakers, and not in speakers and in the earphones. But so the manager decided, they decided to pay some amount, and they gave the packet to Maharaj to be handed over to the, as a token of gratitude. Maharaj, they asked Maharaj to hand over the packet to all the Matajis. The ladies didn't know what it was. They thought something, some gift is there. When they opened and find out it was money, they started crying. And they expressed that, why are you insulting us? Why are you depriving us from this opportunity of serving Vaishnavas, so many Vaishnavas, in the holy Dham, in the holy month of Kartik? What an amazing blessing, what an opportunity, what a privilege. Please don't deprive us, don't insult us by doing this. And when it was brought to the notice of Maharaj, it translated, Maharaj was so much moved by this gesture of these simple uh, ladies. He was so, like we could see, he was so happy and pleased. Many of them were initiated devotees actually. Some were new devotees, but just this attitude was very actually pleasing. So this is the floor by which we are, and it keeps us grounded. Whatever big position we may have, our head may be in the clouds, cloud nine, but our feet is grounded if we have a proper service attitude. That we are simply servant. Whether we are, whoever we are, simply, it's an opportunity. Big position means big services, but the mentality is simply to serve. This is the thing that was so much emphasized and so much personally demonstrated by Maharaj himself, that you know this is there, this is like kind of installed in the hearts of those devotees who are really sincerely hearing to him and wanting to understand what his mood is. So, okay, so we have discussed about the foundation, now we have made the floor, but we can't live on the floor, we need walls. Without the walls, where is the uh, uh, question of protection? The walls give us protection, you know. So the walls of the house protect the people living in the house. And what are these walls? These walls represent the walls of deep and healthy loving relationships amongst devotees. If we have deep, genuine, healthy, loving exchanges amongst devotees, then we feel protected, you know, and people are nourished by love. For devotees to continue chanting the holy name throughout their lives, we must give them the support of a strong spiritual family. It is very important to feel the loving reciprocation of devotees up until the point that one can directly experiencing the love of Krishna. We cannot experience Krishna in the heart. So for us, the love is the loving relationship of devotees. And there is a very interesting quote of Maharaj. He once said, large and elegant temple structure, beautiful deities, sumptuous prasadam, melodious kirtans, convincing philosophy will attract people to our temples. But only loving relationships amongst devotees will sustain them in the long run. So, yes, all these other things will attract people to come to our temples, but only when they see loving relationships amongst devotees, which will what will actually inspire them or sustain them to remain in Krishna consciousness. As Ravindra Swarup Prabhu once said, or I think Jayadvaita Maharaj, Srila Jayadvaita Maharaj said, we should once write now, not how I came to Krishna consciousness, how I remained in Krishna consciousness. That would be a nice article if we share, if different people share how I remain in Krishna consciousness. And even Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, Nectar of Instruction, uh, uh, Dadati Pratigranati, text 4. In that he says, this movement was started single-handedly, but just because of these loving exchanges, this movement is spreading all over the world. Because people feel the love of Krishna through the devotees. And that gives them the faith and the trust that yes, here is a wonderful family. I feel that nice Vaikuntha atmosphere. Of course, also Maharaj says in his book Journey Home, he makes a statement. Preserving loving relationships in this world requires much tolerance, patience, humility, forgiveness, and gratitude. If long-term relationships, whether it's between husband and wife, whether it is friends, whether it is colleagues, god brothers, god sisters, if there is a sustained relationship, long-term relationship, deep loving relationships, we must know that there has in both the parties, not one-sided, they must have tolerance, they must have patience, they must have humility, they must have forgiveness, they must have gratitude for so much of investment in a relationship. Otherwise, it is not possible. So sometimes we feel, I am chanting, but am I developing Trinadapi Suni Chena Karori Vasaishuna? Simple. If you're maintaining relationships with devotees, in spite of all the ups and downs, that means you know that you have these qualities. Otherwise, it's not possible to maintain relationships in the long run.